Okay, so this is part 2. And there's one more part coming next week, and we're going to talk about the most anticipated movies for the remainder of 2015, and maybe in some cases, possibly movies from 2016. I'm not sure what's on your list, so it's anyone's guess. And last week we did our worst of the half year. This year we're doing the best of the half year, so sit back, relax, and get ready to hear what AJ and I think are the best as of right now. So just like I said, we're going to qualify everything. Now, obviously, if you watched the review from 3 days ago, you would see that nothing that we've seen this past weekend is on our list. But via the rules here, it could have been. So this is what we think as of this moment to be the best. Now, we're going to start off with AJ, and we're going to do honorable mention and roll right into his list, and then I'm going to give my honorable mention, and then we're going to roll into mine, and that's going to be the video. So, sound good? All right. And AJ, take it away.
All right. My honorable mention, I actually almost debated Magic Mike. It was very, very close, actually. But instead I settled on Tomorrowland.
Ah, nice.
Which is going to have, unfortunately, a reputation that it doesn't deserve because of its box office.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that I know that saw it actually really took to it.
Oh, yeah.
Much to my surprise, and I was really happy about that. Because it's really just, you know, a nice old-fashioned adventure movie that just happens to have... It's got a really heavy message in it that it is not shy about showing to you by any means or telling you directly. But even so, it's actually a pretty important message, and also it's just, you know, handled in a way that didn't bother me. And yes, I just really took to this movie much more than I thought I would. And it goes to show that even if not every movie he makes is going to be a blockbuster, that Brad Bird still knows what he's doing and still knows how to make a movie, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as these are concerned, you'll note my honorable mention I just said, like, yeah, I liked it better than I thought I would, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
That last year when we did this, it was a really nice list this time of year.
Yeah, totally.
And we haven't exactly been that lucky regarding this year.
Unfortunately not.
I've heard some disagreements, but I really don't think we're off to a great start. To the point that it would be ideal for me if pretty much none of these... I mean, I love all these for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Love or like, for different reasons. But as much as I love some of them, it would be ideal to me if this entire list was different by the end of the year.
I can see that, honestly.
I don't know. But for now, this is just in case it seems underwhelming and you're like, what in the fuck? That's just the kind of year we're having. So, okay, that's all my defense to myself before I say these. My number 10 is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which, you know, it's still, I guess it's, people haven't quite taken to it the way they did the first one, and it's still, this chair's really fucking noisy today.
Yeah. Like
every time I move, it makes a sound. See?
Now,
the thing about it is, I still thought it didn't feel just like, you know, a cash grab. They really, you know, took the characters further, and they introduced a really, really awesome villain with Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, James Spader is amazing no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are... And it does kind of... Like, the comedy stuff doesn't always add up. I mean, it's not, you know, great or anything. And the writing could use some work, but even so, for a sequel of that magnitude, I still thought they handled it really well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, this is like the most fucking underwhelming.
It's a lot to live up to after the Avengers and how outstanding the Avengers was.
Mm-mm. This is like the most underwhelming descriptions of movies on a top list you've ever heard.
It'll probably get a lot more entertaining as we get to the end of the year.
Okay, number 9 is Spy. Which, yes, actually is not only is it hilarious, but it's also a legitimately good movie. And yeah, I've had to explain myself to so many people who have seen it since I said this. Yes, I'm still standing by that Rose Byrne is Oscar worthy in this movie.
I'd say Globe nominated.
And
maybe
non-supporting, not with the categories not split up. And the thing about it is, yeah, I'm really, really not a fan of Melissa McCarthy by any means, especially in her collaborations with Paul Feig. But something about this one really, really worked, especially with, you have Jason Statham and Jude Law and they're doing their thing. One kind of being a parody of it and the other kind of being an over-the-top representation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything just kind of clicked with this movie in a weird way. There's stuff in there that falls flat for sure.
Oh yeah.
But the humor of it, the way the action is surprisingly well handled, and all the side characters like Miranda Hart is really funny in this. Bobby Cannavale's in there briefly. But yeah, this actually added up into quite a surprise. I honestly, when I walked into the movie, I was like, I hate to, confess to this because I'm really, really against the people that normally do this, but when I walked into this movie, I was almost positive I was going to hate it.
Same here.
And I don't mean like actively dislike or like
hate it.
I mean I thought I was going to just fucking loathe it.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, and it's also kind of being misadvertised as McCarthy kind of doing her thing again, when this is like the one time that she's not, and it's really nice.
Because it works.
So, it actually, yes, it's not just her doing her, fat lady and slapsticky thing. Her character's actually quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when she's like put in like the situation where that just happens to happen to her, which is not very often. So, yes, that was definitely a surprise. Number 8 is a movie that's kind of nobody really seems to give a shit about. And that is Black and White, Mike Bender's movie with Kevin Costner. I was really taken surprised by this movie. I thought it was just because it played at TIFF last year, and nobody really seemed to care for it. They kind of dismissed it as a Lifetime movie, and yeah, to a degree it can kind of come off that way, but there's something really, really heartfelt and genuine at the heart of this movie.
Great performances.
And this is like some of the best stuff that Costner has done.
Oh yeah.
He's having a really great year right now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
To me anyway.
I agree.
And there are certain points in this movie where you're very curious to see where it's going to go, and it does kind of set up, something you feel like you've seen a million times. Mm. And the outcome kind of gets you there too, but still, just the way it's carried through is done really, really well.
There's really powerful stuff in it too.
Mike Bender is a really talented guy. He did The Upside of Anger, and most people like Rain Over Me more than I do. And I believe he also did Indian Summer, which is a movie I love so much. I really, really love Indian Summer. And like I said, there's even a moment in this movie where they build Costner's character up to be this saintly character. Mm. And then there is a scene planted right in the middle of this movie where they make you question that.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love that it had the balls to do that. And I just found this movie really, really effective. And it's a little long, but it was really, I was able to stick with it that whole time. So yes, I was really impressed by that movie, actually. I'm kind of, it's kind of saddening that it's really just, it's just not resonating with people.
Yeah, Black or White's an awesome movie.
But, okay, I had bad words in my top 5 of the end year last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess, that happens sometimes. Okay, try not to get too pissed because the next couple are, I'm really gonna be getting those why is it not higher comments, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, whatever. My number 7 is Inside Out. Which, as I said before, it's really nice to see Pixar back, and I'm glad I was able to. I'm almost kind of able to forgive them for Cars 2 and Brave, because it's kind of like they were doing the bullshit just so they could save up all their creativity and really make something special out of this. Yeah. And they really did. It never really hit me too hard emotionally. and it's not as funny as some of their other movies have been. So, just on those standpoints, they have hit much higher highs. But it's still a really, really good story that's really impressively made, and the voice cast is really perfect, especially Amy Poehler. This is seriously like the best thing. This is the best performance like Amy Poehler's ever given, and it's a voice performance, but still. And it's just, endlessly creative. It's got all these different ideas going to it, and it's clear that a whole lot of care went into making it. Just, from its inception and to actually making it. So it works really well. It's just, it just doesn't quite get there the way their other movies have. Okay, and also kind of in that, not in that vein, but in the people really, really love this movie vein. My number 6 is Mad Max Fury Road. Much like Inside Out. Yes, it's a crazy ass movie that is. I mean, people came out of it pissed off because it's not literally a 2-hour car chase like people build it up as, but it pretty much is.
Yeah.
Like if you don't look at it exactly literally, it's pretty much constant. Which is not a bad thing either when you can really, really keep it up like this. And once again, it's just they went endlessly creative with this, all the way from all the different vehicles to the fucking Doof Wagon, which is now like, it's like already made itself like this iconic piece of pop culture now. And yes, and that fucking soundtrack is insane. I actually blew out the speakers in my headphones with the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack.
That's awesome.
Honestly, yeah. Those were really nice headphones too.
Not anymore.
But what can you do? I didn't hear that one. So, yes, and Tom Hardy is a good replacement for Gibson. He's not overwhelmingly like, yes, you are Mad Max now. You still see Mad Max as Gibson, but Hardy certainly was a really solid choice.
Agreed.
And it would have helped if he had, I know Max isn't exactly a character that emotes a lot, but it would have been easy. I suppose it'd be easier to judge if he was more like the Max from the first movie, which obviously he's not now, because the Max from the first movie was before all the shit he's been through has happened. So that's made him who he is now. But even so, we didn't know this when it was when we were talking about it in the review, but I've heard since that apparently this takes place between the Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay.
Now some more things make sense.
And yeah, there's they managed to keep a story going also, and Morton Joe is a really awesome villain. So yes, and it's just a really awesome action movie. I didn't really then again I didn't get to see it outside of 3D, which I really thought would have made it better, but
yeah,
because 3D just generally doesn't work for me. But I'm sure I will see it a few more times down the road, and maybe it'll be higher on this list if I revisit it over the year, but
possibly. I
guess we'll find out. Number 5, I don't know if too many people will be angry that this is above Mad Max Fury Road, because people are kind of talking about their action blockbusters altogether here.
Mm-hmm.
But number 5 is a movie that I took to quite a lot, which is Furious 7. The action is fucking insane.
Oh yeah.
That whole centerpiece coming down from the plane, and then the chase with the bus and all that is one of the great action scenes of the past few years. And it always finds a way to keep it doesn't quite build from it, because that's not exactly easy to top. But it still manages to handle all that well with the whole. It does seem kind of like a lot with the parallel storylines where they set it up with the Statham thing, but then there's the Jaimin thing, and then everything just kind of converges. But I still thought it was all handled pretty smoothly, rather slickly actually, and the whole a lot of people. For a long time in the series, the family element thing was kind of like, cheesy. But with not just with, the whole Paul Walker thing, but just the way the cast has really come together over the years and the chemistry that they have, there's like a whole dynamic going there that a lot of action movies are missing. and they've been able to build this through the series, and it's just everybody talks about it, and it's true. It's just insane. The life that this franchise has lived.
And it's not over yet, not even close.
Yeah.
Now it's living on theme park attractions.
So, yeah, I thought this was a really, really great... It would have made a great ending, but at the same time, they do kind of leave it open.
Yeah, totally.
And it does make you want to see more. Like, even without Paul Walker, like, you know there's going to be it's going to feel like there's a huge hole there.
Yeah.
But I think this cast and this dynamic is strong enough that they'll be able to carry it. And the next one can be, they can make it just as strong, hopefully.
I can see that.
All right. My number 4 is Ex Machina, which is that usually every year, every other year, we have that science fiction movie that comes along that really takes people and makes like a really realistic future out of it, and really, really pulls people in that way. And apparently there's like a whole bunch of like hidden things in this movie that you have to like really, really look for. But apparently this movie is like really, really rich in detail, like in shit you'll never see on the first viewing unless you know about it ahead of time. And once again, the performances are really great. Oscar Isaac in this is one of the best performances we've had this year. And of course, Gleason and Vikander are really good also. And just the way this movie, Alex Garland handled this movie in a way that it's so... I love the mysterious atmosphere in this movie. Like, it starts off as just this kind of... There's like a whole kind of mystery surrounding everything. And then we kind of go into the sci-fi aspect. And then there's some portions where it even feels like horror almost.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And all of this is combined into this really... just a really great story. We are kind of, getting into that in the whole, artificial intelligence and whether taking a mind of its own and stuff like that. We've been doing that since like 2001.
Yeah.
But they still find ways to make really interesting pieces about them, and this is definitely one of those. And I'm sure it'll be one of those kind of, I don't know if it'll be I wouldn't say cult classic, but a sci-fi classic down the road. It's certainly a movie a lot of people have taken to in a big way, and I think that's going to only get bigger. Number 3 is Paddington, which is this borderline brilliant portrayal of this character from this storybook. And I remember when the idea came out, and it was already established that it was going to be this. If you want to bring it really down low, the Scooby-Doo aspect, where it's the beloved character is animated while everything else around him is live action. And that's, for most movies, that's a death sentence. See Scooby-Doo, for instance.
Yeah.
So people kind of signed this movie as death warrant long before it came out. And then it came out in the UK first, obviously.
Yep.
And the reaction was overwhelming. There were like 4-star reviews everywhere. It got nominated for 2 major BAFTAs. And then everybody loved it. And then it came over here, and we had it in our theater for, 3 months?
Yeah.
We had it for a long-ass time.
It did very well.
And this movie is just endless charm. And it's always... the humor is very... It knows it's a movie made for children, mainly.
Yeah.
But there's still that stuff in there, like the whole taxidermy subplot and some of Nicole Kidman's lines kind of make it feel like when you're an adult now and you watch the movies that you grew up with as a kid and you're like, oh my god, how did they put that in a kid's movie? That's fucking dark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that stuff in here.
There really is.
And then there's just clever things littered all around it, and just the way it kind of has like if Wes Anderson did Stuart Little kind of feel. It's got those brilliant visuals, like the dollhouse and how we see the inside of the house through it. There's just little things in there throughout. They like messing with expectations, like the whole... It's never once is it out of place to people that he's a bear. No. Nope. It's just accepted by everyone, and it's never really talked about. I particularly love the moment where they go to the cops looking for him after he's missing, and after they say he's a bear, the guy says that they're going to have to be more specific. And then just those tiny details, like, I really love the moment when when he's standing there and the family first walks by, and he's just kind of sitting there at the train station, and there's a lost and found light above him, and it just says kind of lost because the light and found are off or burned out. And then when Sally Hawkins comes back to talk to him, the found lights up. I really like details like that. And that stuff is just littered through the whole thing. So yes, once again, huge surprise. And once again, just totally changing paths here. My number 2 is Kingsman. Not totally changing paths, because Colin Firth did do all the voice work for Paddington before he was replaced, and you know, British. So we're still here. Yeah, Kingsman was one of those movies where I had no idea what it was when we went into it. And I learned very late in the game that Matthew Vaughn did it. It was after we had one of our Oscar discussions with Ashley, and he mentioned that Matthew Vaughn did it, and that was the first time I realized he did. And this movie is fucking crazy and awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And it does do, obviously, the kind of doing a parody of the spy genre is kind of, you know, lost its luster recently, even though I just put 2 on this list.
Yeah, you did.
This really, really brings it back with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all, not only does it make for an awesome parody, but it is a fucking hardcore badass action movie on like a grand scale.
Oh, yeah.
And the cast could not be more perfect. In particular, like Colin Firth doing the badass action hero thing is something I never would have pegged in a million years. But he pulls it off so well, and he did a lot of his own stunts too, which is really impressive. And I cannot get enough of Samuel Jackson in this movie. This is one of my favorite villains that I have seen for quite some time. And the whole, a lot of people don't like it. The whole lisp idea is just perfection for this character. The whole thing. And then you have Mark Strong and Michael Caine in there just to add to the whole British spy feel of it. Everything works. Now, the humor doesn't always hit. The one problem I have is that there are moments where the movie does feel a little too pleased with itself. And kind of, you know, it gets a little too in love with itself every now and then. But for the most part, it's earned, and it's done in a really clever way, and yeah, there's a whole lot going for this movie. That's a lot of, you mentioned recently that somebody mentioned that there's a severe lack of 3.5-star reviews this year, because I've only given one movie 3.5 stars out of 4, obviously. Kingsman is very, very close. Like, I debated it. Like, before we did that review, I really, really debated it. And since then, I still haven't changed it, but, you know, maybe time will tell. So, obviously, that leaves one movie. Once again, most of these are a surprise as to how they turned out.
This one's not.
Well, yeah, it kind of is, because there had been such a distance between me and the material. I'm building it up like there's suspense. It's SpongeBob. Because there was a distance between me and the material for a while, and I didn't like the first movie, even though a lot of people did.
Yeah. And the Goofy Goober song.
But this movie, this movie is a piece of work.
It is.
It starts off like any other Plane episode. They got the animation. It's Plankton wanting Mr. Krabs' Krabby Patty secret formula.
Like you do.
And they have to stop him. And it's exactly like any other episode how it's set up. But the directions that they take that, I cannot fathom. It turns into an apocalypse movie, it turns into a time travel movie, it turns into a live-action movie. Just any time this movie feels like it's reached its point, and you think, this movie could not get any more out there or crazy, it reaches and just goes higher and does something even crazier. And it's actually quite brilliant how it does it. Like just the structure of it, and the humor, and just everything about it. And the way it might seem kind of weird and out of place, the way they took a surreal approach to quite a few scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly the scene where he goes inside SpongeBob's mind, which is fucking hilarious, by the way. Yes, that's certainly a plus too. That really helps it get its placement on this list. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. Like when I just laughing from beginning to end nonstop. Even at the stuff that falls flat, you're just so kind of in the moment with it. You just go with it anyway.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't even catch yourself till like 5 minutes later. Like I guess that wasn't that funny, but just fucking everything is funny. And yes, just once again, the voice cast. Tom Kenny is a fucking genius, as we all know. It totally blew my mind when I learned he was Heifer on Rocco.
Yeah.
That just, yeah. So yes, this movie always has an idea up its sleeve, and 9 times out of 10, it's an idea you do not fucking see coming from anywhere.
No.
And it just stays like that the whole time. And even when they get to the live action bits, it's a lot of people kind of thought that was gonna kind of taint it, but I really felt they kept it up. It helps that Antonio Banderas. I love Antonio Banderas in this movie, and that really helps. Just the whole thing is, yeah. There's really nothing about the movie that I can think of off the top of my head that I can't just praise completely. So, that's what that is. Even if you're not like a SpongeBob fan, I kind of wish you the best of luck, but I'd still, just see what you think. Just watch it and see what happens, and take it from there. But yeah, I heard a couple complaints from people where somebody said that they didn't think it was that memorable. Like, it was just another animated movie and then it went on. If there is one thing, even if I hated this movie, even if I hated everything about this movie, unmemorable is not the word that would jump out at me.
Not even close.
So, yeah. That's what we have here. So, like I said, I really, really love SpongeBob a lot. But if we can get a whole new 10 for the second half of the year, that would be awesome. And I'm hoping, but I guess we'll see.
Well, as always, AJ talked for like 27 minutes. I'm probably going to talk for like 5.
You say that every time, but we usually end up going like an hour.
I don't know. We'll see. All right. Get your pitchforks ready. My honorable mention is Aloha. Blame my Cameron Crowe love. You can, because I know you're going to. Because he already is right now in his head without saying it. I really do love this movie. I think that Cameron Crowe is a brilliant director, and I think that everything I've ever seen him put out is gold. Absolutely gold. Now, I know what you're going to bring up.
You haven't seen Jerry Maguire.
The fact that I've never seen Jerry Maguire.
You haven't seen Single, have you?
Yeah.
You've seen Singles?
Yeah, a long time ago. Long time ago. And the way before time. Before the 2000s.
So when it came out.
Yes, exactly. But what I will say right now is I thought the chemistry worked. I did. I like Emma Stone and Bradley Cooper together. I think it actually fits. It's a couple of the scenes are really like believable. They really are. I like Bill Murray in the movie. I like Bill Murray in anything he does. Not just the fact because the guy shares a birthday with me or I share a birthday with him. Obviously, I share a birthday with him and I'm happy to say that. I've always enjoyed his work.
You've been on Bill Murray this whole time. This is so why is the movie good exactly?
John Krasinski's really good in it too. I like Krasinski as well. I like the fact that they play his character off as mute, and then he eventually starts talking, and he's still quiet, and they're not really addressing that, which is an interesting way to do it. I think it looks visually stunning because obviously it's shot in Hawaii, so it makes sense. And the patented Cameron Crowe soundtrack every single time, it always works. I just really like this movie a lot. Will it end up on my list before the end of the year? I doubt it, but
I'm struggling to remember any songs that were in it. I know songs were in there, but I can't think of. I don't even.
It's just one of those things. It's like the feeling of the song, regardless of what it is, it lets you feel like you're there, and that's what I got out of the movie. I liked it. I'm sorry. All right. You have no response to this, I'm guessing, because you don't like this movie
I have
at all.
nothing positive to say about the movie now.
I kind of battled with my top 10 for a while. The top, 5 or 6 was never in any question. I just had to flip the right order. But everything else was kind of like touch and go. My number 10 is actually going to be Unfriended. I really like this movie a lot. I know a lot of people didn't take to it, and I get that. And I had a lot of people that personally told me they didn't take to it because I don't want to watch a computer screen for an hour and a half. Well, I got news for you. Most everybody watching this video on a regular basis watches a computer screen for an hour and a half, if not a lot longer.
Well, they're just kind of dismissing it as the found footage thing, and everybody's...
But there's more to it than that. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. There's more to it than that. It's not just a found footage movie. And I love the fact that everything is predicated on what's going on her computer screen. Even when the Never Have I Ever game comes up, which is one of my favorite scenes of the year so far. When that happens, and you have the feeling of dread of what possibly could happen next, you have the killer, or however you want to say it, so I'm not going to spoil anything. The killer is basically playing the playlist of like sad and different types of music to fit the situations while this is going on. It's like they have completely taken over the computer. And I love the way this works. It's intense, and it's really well done in ways that movies that are found footage, for me, generally are not. Do you have anything to say about Unfriended? I know you dug it. So
I'd say nothing I didn't say in the review, really.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm a fan of it for sure.
Not a Horror Nights house, I know, but still, I really enjoyed it.
Well, definitely, there's 2 horror movies that kind of came out at the same time this year, and there was one that was popular to love and one that was popular to hate, being It Follows and Unfriended.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hate It Follows, but I'm certainly on the other side.
Yeah, same here. Neither of which Horror Nights house ever, but still, I'm sorry. I gotta be honest.
What is it now?
My number 9 is Jurassic World. Okay. Blame it on whatever you want. It has nothing to do with Chris Pratt at all. Nothing. Not one bit. The look. It's got me. It got me from the second. Like, AJ knows when it comes down to the Jurassic Park theme, I've used it for so many things. I hum it on a regular basis. And actually sitting in a theater again, a new movie comes out, and all of a sudden they're on the monorail, and you go right through the doors, and the grand opening of the park in itself. It was just like, take me back to the 90s again. It was awesome. And, like, I'm not going to put Pratt in this at all. This has nothing to do with him. I just think it looks amazing. The Mosasaurus, that scene that was spoiled in the trailer, I love the fact of when the actual, just like I said in the review, when the seats lower the second that Jaws gets eaten. Because that was definitely an homage, without a doubt. I guarantee you it was. I love how it drops down to the level, so SeaWorld should do something like that. I think it'd be glorious. I know some, like, different, like, regional aquariums do stuff like that, but I like to see it on a much grander scale. The ending worked for me. I like the end of the movie. I like how there was chaos everywhere, and a character just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she met a very untimely demise. In probably one of the most graphic ways I've seen on film in a while.
You might say it was pointless excess, but... Ooh, my, fun.
Oh, it was totally fun. I thought it worked in every way possible. I love the odes to the original film, and I loved the ending of the movie, like the whole finishing sequence of the movie. All the way from like the last 30 minutes, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat the whole time. And I thought it worked. I really did. I'm kind of surprised no one came back, though. Like, no, like, major character came back. I'm kind of surprised. It was nice to see B.D. Wong, though. I always say that, but... The thing is, it's just... It was weird to see no Sam Neill in the movie, and I was like... I'm like, obviously...
We already had one without him.
Well, Goldblum could have came back. I mean, he did come back for one of the sequels, so...
He was on... Apparently he was on, like, Jake Johnson's book cover. I didn't see that, but I heard somebody talking about it. Yeah.
And he's brilliant in the Wes Anderson movie, so I love him in the Grand Budapest Hotel. So, yeah. Sorry. I guess this is my quantification of AJ, like, hating the movie so much that we're getting, like, bad messages because of it. me putting it on my best of the year list.
For those people out there that were upset, I will just say one thing.
Here we go.
For the ending, yes, I did find myself on the edge of my seat. But that's only because I was in such a hurry.
You want to get out of there? Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
I knew it was coming. No worries. All right. On this list, you're going to get a lot of things that I don't have any knowledge of the source material, but for some reason I took completely to the film. This is the first one. My number 8 is Entourage. Okay. A movie like this, for me personally, if these people were people I knew in real life, I probably would hate these guys. Like, totally hate these guys.
Probably.
Why do these D-bags have all the stuff in the world? Well, you know, for a film, this works. This works really well. And I love the cast. The cast works great. I love the cameos. I heard that the show obviously was predicated on a bunch of cameos nearly every episode. Because obviously we're in Hollywood, so you kind of have to do that.
And they were more like storylines because they had the space to do that.
Mm. And Haley Joel Osment, ever since Tusk, I've developed like a new, like more appreciation for his roles now, his newer roles.
So these two,
yeah, but he hasn't done anything in forever, so it's true.
He did that movie I reviewed where he goes back in time. I'll Follow You Down, I think it's called.
Oh, okay, right on. It's really funny. I thought it was well done. It looks slick. That's the best way to describe it. And it feels like it should. HBO took this genre and they made one show that started it off, and then a lot of people didn't take to it, unfortunately. Even though Arliss is brilliant. I don't care what anybody says. And now they've got a show that Dwayne Johnson's doing on HBO, which is pretty much the same storyline, but it's done a little bit differently. I believe it's called Ballas.
I think they actually have the R.
Oh. Ballers?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Ballas, but anyway. I don't watch HBO. So, we've got that, and then you have Entourage, which took the entire gimmick of Arliss, who is a super sports agent, and we made him into an actual agent, and you cast Jeremy Piven. And Ari Gold is a tool, but he's enjoyable to watch. I think the whole cast is great. I think the movie's great, and will it be on the end of the year list? Maybe, maybe not, but it was certainly good enough to be on this placement right here, for sure.
You're going to have a pretty shitty year for your number, 8, to still be on the top 7 list later.
You know,
after 6 more months.
You know, man, this year has not been good so far. My number 7 is Ex Machina. Like AJ said, I'm going to say pretty much the same thing when it comes down to it. Oscar Isaac's performance is one of the best of the year, and hearing and seeing him dance is glorious in every way possible.
I don't know that it topped Ben Mendelsohn in Lost River. But
I haven't seen it, though, so I can't...
Close.
For something I've seen. I haven't seen Lost River yet. But I will say right now that this movie is very atmospheric. I think that's the best way to put it. And when we were watching it theatrically, which we actually got to see this one in a theater that was pretty packed, which is how you need to see this movie. You could hear
really close to the screen.
We're super close to the movie, and you could hear a pin drop in some of these scenes. No gasp, no nothing, just a pin drop, literally. Someone dropped a pin out of his pocket when he's trying to write notes, just like the Grand before it disappears into nothingness. Never told that story on camera, I don't believe. But I will say right now that it is creepy. It's really creepy. I mean, it kind of gives me the vibe of not the same concept, obviously, but The Skin I Live In comes to mind. I get that vibe a little bit. I think that works a lot. And when there's a scene where you open, let's say, not be spoilery, when they open doors and they see what's inside the doors, it's just really freaky. It really is. And the character itself comes off freaked out by what's going on. And Oscar Isaac comes off so likable, and then he's got this dark side to him, and I just think it's such a perfect performance. I really enjoyed it. Oscar Isaac is a brilliant actor. I've always thought this, so he's going to continue to get better. I just hope he gets...
Right now he's working on bringing the money in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's glad to see that he got that Star Wars check now, so...
X-Men, too.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, he's the villain in the new X-Men.
I didn't know about that.
It's called X-Men Apocalypse. He is Apocalypse.
Oh, I did not know that. That's something I did not know. Awesome. My number 6 is Furious 7. I took this movie. When it comes down to it, I always like the Fast and Furious series. I always have. I've never been a big action guy, and it took me a lot to get into those movies, but the Fast and the Furious series always worked for me. I mean, you can blame it on the characters, blame it on the storyline, blame it on whatever you want. It just works. And to sum this movie up for me would just literally be this. The final scene, where they're literally going down the same road. And you see Dom go one way, you see Brian go the other way. And you just know that this is the last time they'll ever see each other. And it gets really, really emotional. And it did in the theater, and it did every single time. Because I would sit in the back row waiting to clean, and I would watch this, and I would wait to see what people's reaction would be. And when that comes down, you could actually hear people sniffling in the back row.
My mom can't hear that song. Like, she has to change it.
And I'm not a Wiz Khalifa fan at all. I've said this, went on record saying this, but this song, it just works. It's a brilliant song and a great way to end the Paul Walker chapter of the Fast and the Furious series. I thought everything was worked really well. When I heard Jason Statham was going to be the villain, I was like, yay, this is going to be awesome. And, I mean, it's a great film. I mean, it's not something that's going to be remembered, like, down the line, per se, but it's something that stands on its own.
I think something else that helps it, stay rich like that is how interactive Vin Diesel was with the fans.
Oh, yeah.
Like
he loves this.
When you heard the story about how Jason Statham got cast because Vin Diesel went, on Twitter or his Facebook and said, who do you guys want to be the villain in the new Fast and Furious? And everybody just said fucking Jason Statham.
Okay.
That's what it was.
That happens. And now that, like I said before, that when AJ was talking about his list, I said that the Fast and the Furious have moved their brand to the theme parks. They just opened in Hollywood, Supercharge, which, like it or not, it's going to be around for a while, and it's coming to Orlando and eventually to Singapore. But the thing about it is when they had the dedication for the ride, he actually said, Vin Diesel said that this is for Paul. Mm-hmm. So he dedicated the ride to the memory of Paul Walker, and I thought that was awesome as well. Where they go from now, it sounds like they're going to New York. It sounds like it's going to be fun. But it's never going to be the same. It's just going to adapt, I guess is the best way to put it. Mm. And it definitely belongs in this list.
Well, if there's one franchise that's adaptable.
Oh, yeah. Okay, for all the people that don't like this movie, AJ put it on his list. I've got it on mine. My number 5 is Tomorrowland. I love this movie. Blame the Disney fan in me all you want. I don't really care. Hearing There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow in the start of a movie and seeing It's a Small World at Disneyland, I thought that was pretty sweet. And definitely knowing where everyone is. It's kind of like me watching Escape from Tomorrow again and basically just using it as a place to like, hey, by the way, I've been there. Hey, they're there. Continuity's messed up because obviously you can't go here and here in one day, so. But still, I love this movie. It's weird because I put The Longest Ride on my worst of, and I'm putting Tomorrowland on my best of. So Britt Robertson has been half and half with me for this year. Clooney's amazing as always. I think that this movie was badly treated. It was promoted very well in some ways and not well in other ways. It's kind of like they promoted to a very niche audience. Because they were doing, all the promotion, D23 and everything, and they were promoting to all the Disney fans and that try to get that fan base out to watch the movie. But the problem is, they did not promote to the general public that way. The general public didn't take to this very well, and that's a shame because it's an awesome movie with a great message that definitely needs to be heard. I think it's the best way to put it, and it definitely belongs on this list. I've been fighting with 3 and 4 for a while. I think I've got it figured out. My number 4 is Kingsman. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. This movie was enjoyable in every way possible. It was crazy. It was insane. It had over-the-top performances. It is everything that a comic book movie should be. And it had some really, really wicked violence that you would not expect. Like, once again, I think we say this every year, but Freebird will never be listened to the same again.
Yeah, I do like the how they use those scenes where Matthew Vaughn has this way of doing action scenes where it's like the warehouse slaughter in Kick-Ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Where it's not actually shot all in one take, but it's made to kind of look like it and make the shots seem long.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, he's really good at that.
Everyone's great in this movie. Samuel L. Jackson. I love that character so much. And I could watch an entire movie of just his character. I really could. What's
the funniest thing about it is that after you've seen the movie, it's impossible to resist calling him Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, no.
You just have to say it that way.
And like AJ said, who knew Colin Firth could be a badass? And he is a very, very good one at that. I mean, he's gone to come a long way since being a Darcy, so...
Yeah, see, for a while there, it seemed like every single movie I saw him in, his last name was Darcy.
I think he brought that up in Austin Land. When we were sitting in the theater waiting, it's like, is that going to be his last name? So, alright. My number 3 is Paddington. I'm proud of this because this was a movie that I was anticipating and a movie that absolutely delivered in every single way possible. I remember reading the books growing up, and I remember wanting to see this character brought to the big screen because it never really had been done before. And I was very, very happy with what I saw. This movie was adorable in every way possible. It was outright hilarious, and it played with subject matter that worked for both an adult level and a child's level. So it really appealed to everyone. If you don't like SpongeBob, if you don't like Inside Out, if there's a good chance you're going to like Paddington because it applies to both.
I don't think there's very people that don't like Inside Out, so I don't think you have to worry about that.
I don't know. I've read some reviews lately. I don't know where these people are coming from, but... Oh, there's a hole right there. They're coming out of that. So, yeah. I really like this movie. It delivered in every way possible. It's kind of like I waited forever for the Get Smart movie to come out, and I was not disappointed. When I heard about Paddington, I put it on my anticipated list. I was like, please, please work. And then I saw the great reviews coming from the UK, the BAFTA nominations, and even picking it to win in my prediction videos. But when it comes down to it, it was great, and it deserves to be here, and I honestly think this is one that probably will have a hard time getting dropped off this list. Speaking of having a hard time getting dropped off this list, AJ said before that if you like this particular movie, obviously you're going to get everything. If you don't watch the source material and don't know really anything about it, you may not take to it. Hi, my name is Owen. My number 2 is SpongeBob. It's weird. It's really weird me saying this because I never was a SpongeBob fan. And if it wasn't for you, I never would have watched an episode in my life. That's not a lie. I watched the original movie. The Goofy Goober song still stuck in my head. And obviously them writing David Hasselhoff, which was always really bizarre to walk because I never noticed what people were going to respond to it as. It's just... SpongeBob came at a time where I was done with Nickelodeon. And I really didn't know anything about the newer Nickelodeon stuff because I obviously stuck to the old stuff. Watch and reboot. You know what I'm talking about. And I wasn't sure about this show. But then I found out more about it. And then I finally watched an episode. And it's like, it's really funny.
Spreading the gospel.
Yeah. The gospel according to SpongeBob. But yeah, the characters are done really well. This movie's done in such a grand scale, it's not even funny. Like AJ said, just Antonio Banderas, just his pirate getup and everything, the pirate burgers. I just thought it was great, and this is really funny. I would honestly go in and walk this movie numerous times just so I could see what part they were on. And the rip-off CIA Man music that's at the end of this, I always love that. Was that? I believe that was Pharrell, wasn't it? The Pharrell song in SpongeBob? I think it's Pharrell, I'm not positive. I'm asking you. You know what song I'm talking about.
I know, I hear it, but I don't remember who does it.
I think it's Pharrell, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. But yeah.
I don't think it is.
I said don't quote me on that, so I'm not positive. So there. Alright. SpongeBob was hilarious, and it was going to take a lot to top it. But I walked into a theater a couple weeks ago, and something did. My number one is Inside Out. Now, here's the thing. Is this the best Pixar movie ever? No, I don't think so. Is it strong? Absolutely. Unlike what you said, it really tugged at my heartstrings, without a doubt. Don't know why, just did. Cannot have any personal identification with the storyline at all, but something about the movie just worked for me. And since you won't, because I know your personal opinion on the guy, I'll put over Lewis Black here. And I thought the whole cast, the whole voice cast was amazing. Amy Poehler was not somebody I've ever liked. She's attractive, but I've never really been a major fan of her work. She's like Tina Fey's keychain, I believe is what we used to say back in the day. But she's coming to her own. And with Parks and Rec and now Inside Out, it actually works really well.
Are we just going to skip over Saturday Night Live? Or?
Tina Fey's keychain, Saturday Night Live. Makes sense. This movie is really... It's the reason why they called it an emotional picture. It's not a major motion picture. It's an emotional picture. I get that. It was a gimmick. I totally understand. But it's really true. Because every emotion is needed in order to boost your life. I love how everything was done. I love like the different paths to the different islands. And they would crumble and different things would happen. I thought that was great. And since it wasn't mentioned in the review, Lava, which is very soon to be an Oscar-nominated short, if not Oscar-winning short, depending on how you look at things, as Disney's track record's not the greatest. Number one, I'm not judging you, but if you would do drugs for any reason, that's cool. Awesome. If you are into that, be my guest. But if you're really into that, then my advice to you is go watch Inside Out and watch Lava, and you're just going to wonder what's going on. Because that's like a high of all sorts of different means. Because seeing a volcano sing to you is probably pretty trippy if you're not in the right mind. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I made him speechless. It's even better. Yeah, this movie is really good, and everybody's taken to it. Will it get nominated for an Oscar? Well, an animated one, obviously. It'll most likely win. But
Original screenplay. I
could see screenplay, and will it get one of those coveted spots in Best Picture? It depends on how many there is.
With the 5% rule, that's hard to say.
Yeah, it's anyone's guess.
It's going to be harder to do than when. Because we weren't under the 5% rule when Toy Story 3 and up got in, so...
That's correct.
Now it's a little more difficult.
And The Good Dinosaur is up next, and it doesn't look the greatest, but we'll see how that works. I mean, there's got to be a reason why it's been on the shelf for a while. But yeah, Inside Out's absolutely brilliant, and it completely deserves to be my number one, at least for the half year. So that's what we've got. Agree, disagree, let us know. Obviously, comment on this video. And you also, new news I can break out right to you if you haven't noticed. We're on Movie Pilot now, so check out Pop on Movie Pilot. AJ's movie reviews along with Versus, as well as Gaming with Ash and all my Halloween Horror Nights news, all on moviepilot.com/Suro and Disney. So that's what we've got for today. And join us next Monday for our most anticipated for the rest of the year. So, should be a fun video. Continue to watch the content on Pop. We've got a new Sip and Snack coming up on Thursday. We've got a lot of wrestling content. Obviously, we did that really early Popcast on Saturday. Hopefully you watched that. And, of course, we did a Raw Popcast later tonight, which will be up tomorrow. And we've got NXT and Impact returning to Wednesday. And AJ's movie reviews, of course, will be The Gallows, Minions, and Selfless. Gaming with Ash on Saturday. Brand new Versus on Sunday. Cryptic comment to be announced. That's not what it is. We literally do not know at this moment. So, that being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. AJ, any parting words?